So because 40 Days for Life in Scotland is peaceful, because we've never had an incident, because we have these heroes that are using their freedom of speech that William Wallace wanted y'all to have, because they're doing that, they're no longer focusing on the local 40 Days for Life leaders, they're focusing on us. And here is where Nicola Sturgeon goes on the attack on the good old US of A. Here's her quote.
Am I surprised that they want to try to export that to other countries and to stir up the same kind of opposition to women's rights? No, I'm not, but I'm pretty determined that I will do everything I can to resist it.
So she's blaming Americans. She's done this in many of her interviews. She says these are Americans that have exported this. They've invaded. They've come to our country. It's their fault. Why are they doing this? Years ago, The Guardian said that this was birthed, interesting use of words, in the Wild West hills of Texas. And now Nicola's saying, you're invading my country. Save it. Save it. This woman is so disconnected from her own people. These are Scottish volunteers. She is attacking her own people, her own constituency, because she's so out of touch. It's typical of politicians around the world. She's attacking. I live in Texas. This woman has no power over me. I haven't invaded Scotland. I was invited to Scotland. The people were very pleasant. It was a beautiful country. It was awesome. I was invited there to speak in 2017. I haven't been back since. No one's invaded. She is in denial that these are Scottish babies being aborted. She is in denial that these are Scottish women being helped by Scottish volunteers of 40 Days for Life, and that people of Scotland want 40 Days for Life. Now, if she doesn't like 40 Days for Life, or she says, yeah, but other people in Scotland don't want 40 Days for Life, then that's okay. That's called public discourse. But to ban your own people makes you a bully. And I think that's exactly what this woman is. She could care less. She looks down on the Scottish 40 Days for Life volunteers. She looks at them with disdain, and she wants to use her power to get rid of them. Everything else is just rhetoric. There's been a million different articles in the BBC and the Guardian and all this. All this is a bigoted view of people who disagree with you in the public square. And you have the power, so you want to ban them. And you can ban 40 Days for Life. You can look at those people and say, you religious idiots with your backwoods beliefs and your embrace of science, we're going to get rid of you. You can do that, but you can't do it and call yourself a free country. You can't do it and say that you're a democracy. You can't do it and say that you encourage freedom of speech. And that is why the only analogy we can use is the analogy of North Korea and China. And Nicola's no stranger to North Korea. It was during the COVID crisis where she staged a filming of children praising her for her leadership during COVID. She had to take that video down because all the great people of Scotland said, this is what the leaders in North Korea do. She had other ties to North Korea and that they support her party, which is fine. That's Scottish politics. Her husband is the president of their party, which seems shady, but I'm sure that's perfectly okay in Scotland. And she's received praise of if she leads her party to Scottish independence, which I don't think she should be the leader of that. She'll be locking everybody up who makes her uncomfortable. Then, if she does that, if she gets Scottish independence, then North Korea would love to work with her because, quote, as one reporter put it, we really like the Scottish whiskey. So she can run around with dictators and drink scotch together with them in the future if she ever gets her independence, but she can't do so and call herself a free country. She is targeting her political enemies. She's targeting those she simply disagrees with. She's targeting those she judges and deems immoral, as she told the BBC. She is a bigot. She doesn't like us because of our beliefs. She doesn't like people in Scotland, her own people, who are pro-life. And she has the power, according to her, to ban them from the public square. So if people get offended that we compare you to China or North Korea, you should look at what you're doing, because those are the only comparisons. We don't do that in the United States of America. There are a lot of people that disagree with 40 Days for Life, and they have a voice, and we protect their voice. And so have so many liberals, including Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who said that buffer zones were simply un-American, as buffer zones have been rejected 8 times in the United States of America. So you can ban those who don't break any laws. You can ban those who are peaceful. You can label prayer as abusive, which is just absurd. You can do all of these things not because they're legal, not because there's evidence of violence and it's a threat to the common good. No, in the midst of your economic downfall right now going on in your country, you're going to ban them because you don't like their opinion. And this is why bigotry blinds leaders all too often.